WrestleMania 41 Night 1 and the 2025 Hall of Fame ceremony.
Okay, so the inductees announced were Michelle McCool, The Natural Disasters, so that's Quake and Typhoon, John Tenta,
Right.
Lex Luger. Then, interestingly, a specific match. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13.
Ah, that classic.
Yeah. And finally, Paul Levesque, or Triple H.
Got it.
But one thing that popped out straight away during the introductions, when they brought out all the honorees, Lex Luger wasn't there on stage.
Oh, any reason given?
Nope. Nothing in the materials we reviewed mentioned why. So, bit of a question mark there initially.
Interesting. But Triple H, Paul Levesque, he made his entrance.
Oh, yeah. Big entrance, his theme music played, the whole deal. And he went down the line, shook hands with the other inductees.
And that handshake with Bret Hart, it sounds like that was a moment.
It really does. One source described Bret's face as like a priceless look of contempt.
Yeah.
Just pure disdain almost.
Wow. So, clearly some lingering feelings there after all this time.
Seems like it. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Even on a night meant for celebration.
Yeah. The history is always present. And then Levesque did his signature water spit pose.
Yep. Classic Triple H right there on stage.
And the ceremony itself. Michelle McCool.
Hers was pretty brief, but seemed quite impactful. She said, "This may be my story tonight, but it's your story too. You are enough. Period. Thank y'all."
Nice sentiment. Connecting with the audience.
Definitely. And the Natural Disasters induction, that was dedicated to Quake, to John Tenta. You could feel the emotion there, honoring his memory.
It's good to hear. And Luger.
Just saying, I'm standing for this.
He goes straight to talking about his mother.
Right.
And how she kept asking him, do you think they were going to put you in that Hall of Fame? I don't know, Mom, maybe someday. It just sounds so real, so down to earth.
It really does. Very genuine. No bravado there.
And then, now, the Bret Hart versus Stone Cold match induction. That's huge.
Yeah, and Austin talked about it. He said, if it wasn't for Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin wouldn't be sitting here. Cheers, Bret. I love you, buddy. I love you.
Wow. That's quite the statement. Shows a lot of respect, despite their history in that match.
Totally. It highlights how intertwined their careers became because of that moment.
Okay, and then the final induction, Paul Levesque.
Right, the headliner.
And his speech. What were the key takeaways?
Well, a big theme was that it wasn't really about him. He stressed it was about everyone who helped him along the way.
Mm-hmm. Giving credit.
Yeah, talked about his parents' work ethic, how that shaped him. And he seemed really proud of building the developmental system, NXT, and the Performance Center. Said he gets inspired by the younger talent.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
given his current role.
And he sort of pledged to keep the business strong for the future, protect its legacy,
Right. Anything personal.
Yeah, he talked about what's really important, his wife Stephanie, his daughters Aurora, Murphy, and Vaughn. Had this line, one word forever, and he finished simply with, thank you, just 2 words.
But the speech itself wasn't exactly 2 words long, was it?
Ha, no, not at all. One description called it Broadway Plus. Apparently it went for over an hour.
An hour? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and this apparently had a side effect. The sources mentioned that the event ran super late because of it.
Oh, dear.
And get this, wrestlers in the audience were reportedly falling asleep. Booker T.
Or should we call him Booker Zzz?
That Zzz. It's obviously meant to sound like snoring, like sleep.
Suggest boredom. 5 times. 5 times. 5 times I fell asleep in your Hall of Fame speech, sucka.
Eric Bischoff, Jey Uso, Naomi, Logan Paul, Montez, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, Cody Rhodes, like a whole bunch of them.
Oh my God, that's kind of hilarious, but also, maybe a sign it went a bit too long.
You could say that. So yeah, very lengthy speech to close the show.
Okay, let's circle back to that Bret Hart and Paul Levesque dynamic. That look you mentioned. It sounds like the animosity is still pretty real.
It seems that way, doesn't it? And you have to remember, Bret has publicly rated Levesque as like a 3 out of 10 wrestler in the past.
Ouch. Yeah, that's not subtle.
No. And a lot of the historical tension, people trace it back to Levesque's association with Shawn Michaels back in the day.
Right, the clique. That was a period with a lot of backstage politics.
For sure. But, there's another perspective mentioned in the sources, suggesting maybe Levesque wasn't the main driver, perhaps more of a scapegoat sometimes, or even that he was like the more grounded one in that group.
Interesting angle. It's always more complicated than it looks from the outside, I guess.
Always. And then there's the huge shadow of the Montreal Screwjob.
Can't talk about Bret in that era without mentioning Montreal.
Exactly. And Levesque himself apparently claimed later on that the whole finish, the Screwjob, was his suggestion. Like, F that. If he won't do it for him.
Whoa.
And from Bret's side, he saw Levesque and Michaels as ruthless, targeting people associated with him, even guys like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson back then.
Really? The Rock, too?
Yeah, there was this anecdote about Levesque wanting Bret to beat The Rock for the Intercontinental title, but Bret apparently refused.
Huh. Just shows the layers of, well, one source called it gang warfare between the Hart Foundation and other groups.
Yeah, it sounds like it was intense behind the scenes.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. Levesque's speech also included a dedication to Vince McMahon.
It did. He spent some time talking about Vince. And their relationship is, well, incredibly complex, isn't it? Mentor, boss, father-in-law, grandfather to his kids.
Yeah, all of the above.
And Levesque expressed, love for McMahon, acknowledging his impact on his life.
How did the crowd react to Vince's name being mentioned? That's a sensitive topic these days.
Well, according to the sources, the reaction was actually overwhelmingly positive. Applause, cheers. No audible negativity reported.
Really? That is interesting, especially considering how Vince has been sort of airbrushed from the company narrative since, January last year?
Exactly. It's a striking contrast. It makes you wonder about his enduring connection with that audience, despite everything.
Definitely food for thought. Any other little moments from the ceremony worth noting?
Yeah, a couple of quick ones. Stone Cold Steve Austin apparently flipped the bird on stage at some point.
Of course he did.
And the camera supposedly panned down real quick. And apparently Levesque's water spit actually hit a camera lens.
Huh. Bet the camera operator loved that.
Probably not.
Okay, let's look ahead quickly to WrestleMania 41 itself. Any tidbits from the sources?
Yeah, there was mention of Goodyear blimp footage showing the women's world champion, Io Sky.
The blimp shots. Classic.
And that led into previewing her match for WrestleMania Sunday, a triple threat against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. That sounds like a potential show stealer.
Definitely. Big match.
And also heavily pushed for Sunday night. John Cena's supposed final WrestleMania match, main eventing for the undisputed WWE Championship.
The end of an era, potentially. That's huge billing.
For sure. Oh, and a quick sponsor mention popped up, Xfinity, the Wi-Fi partner. Something about improved Wi-Fi at the venue and the set having a kind of Vegas Flash meets Xfinity Power vibe.
Right. Sponsor integration is part of the modern spectacle.
Yep.
So it feels like the 2025 Hall of Fame was more than just handing out awards. It was history, celebration, and clearly some unresolved tension bubbling just below the surface.
Absolutely. You hopefully have a richer sense now of not just who was inducted, but the stories around them, the relationships, the little moments, even the surprisingly long speeches.
Yeah, and the sleeping wrestlers. Can't forget that.